Hey guys, so we're on our way to Select Imports of Salt Lake City to check out an Audi S5. Been looking at these for a while now, pretty excited that we've got one here in state that looks like it's at a pretty reasonable price. But we gotta check it out first. So let's go. So as of right now, I have the inkling feeling that we are about to have another episode of Lost. You see, this time the problem is I didn't double check the address that it brought up, or even where it said it brought up when I tried to search for the car dealer, because, you know, driving, you shouldn't look at your phone and drive. Here I am vlogging and driving. But, so I don't know that we're actually heading to the right place. I guess we'll find out.
Mile, turn left onto East 900
in about
South.
a quarter mile. This feels wrong. This feels so incredibly wrong. Alright, so I think we have it figured out. It turns out it did bring up the right place, but when clicking the directions, for some reason, it brought up the wrong location, even though it has the right address. So, punched it in by hand, we're on our way, we're heading back, we are having to backtrack, you know. I guess that's just kind of life on this channel. But they don't close until 7. It's not even 6 yet. So we're alright. We're going to be alright. Alright guys, so we've got some good news, we've got some bad news. So we'll start with bad news first, since there really isn't a whole lot of bad news. Bad news is, well, since I haven't gone out and gotten pre-approved already, I wasn't able to drive the car. So that's a little bit of a bummer, but you know, is what it is. Good news is, he's willing to give me over double for my trade what the previous people I was talking to were. So this is the second S5 I've been looking at. The other day I was looking at one in California, and they agreed to a price of $18,000, which kind of surprised me. It didn't quite seem right, but they kind of lowballed me on the trade offer at like $2,500 to $3,000, and that's just too low. And it may have been that low because they kind of knew I was coming in with the trade already, so they were willing to accept 18 and then just lowball me on the trade. That way they still weren't out that much. But you know, in the end, it is what it is. But I thought maybe I'd just kind of talk through my thought process here, what I'm looking at. The last little bit, I've been thinking about getting a new car because, I mean, I've got almost 113,000 miles on the Mustang. Drive it everywhere. And since I'm still in Utah, it does somewhat make sense to have the all-wheel drive. And I want something that I feel like fits in a bit more with going out on drives and being around people that have nicer cars and stuff. And to me, you know what, the Mustang's been a great college car, but it's not a car that I really want to put more money into. I don't really want to put in the money to fix the paint or to upgrade the performance and stuff, because I mean, it's a V6. A V6, it's not the right Mustang to be putting money in. And so going with the S5 is nice because, you know, it still looks pretty sporty. So you definitely still get the sports aspect of it. Yeah, a lot of the colors are boring, but I'm planning on wrapping it anyways. So that's not so much a problem. It's got the paddle shifters. I do like the paddle shifters. It does have a supercharger already, and that 3-liter that the S5s come with in that year, the 2013, so the B8.5 as they designate it, is you know, there's a lot of aftermarket stuff out there for them, especially on the performance end. You can upgrade the intercooler, you can unrestrict the airflow to the supercharger, and you know, you do a handful of other things, and you've got people that are pulling over 500 horsepower out of them, which is pretty respectable. So the nice part about this one is that it is here in state. It is close, it's easy for me to go up and actually see it. Now, the guy that was showing me the car, he was pretty cool. His name is Bobby, but so I guess they basically did all the work themselves. Like, I mean, he was out there working on another car they have on the lot when I pull it up. So he told me about the damage that the car had. He showed me how he'd replaced it all. Basically, they had another car, another S5, that was basically only good for parts anyway. So they scrapped what they could from that to rebuild this one. And so it's all original parts still. It's all Audi parts, which is great. That's good. And so I guess kind of the main hang up is I really like not having a car payment. And so if I have to get a payment again, I want it to be small enough that I can pay it off within a relatively short couple of months. And so that's kind of been the goal, is to find a car that's at a good price that I could pretty much have paid off within 4 or 5 months. The problem with that is I don't have enough money saved right now to make that a reality. It would take me another 3 months or so, maybe a little bit longer, to save another about $5,000 so that I could get something like a rebuilt S5 and not have much of a payment. As it stands right now, so with that one being at $22,000 and me being able to get 65 for my Mustang, that brings it down to, let's see if I can do quick math. Let's just say 22 to 120, 19. So that brings it down to like 16.5. And then I've got another 5,500 in cash I can put against it, which puts me at needing about $10,000 for a loan, which really isn't the end of the world. It's not that much. Granted, interest rates are going up, but it's manageable. And really, I could still have it paid off by mid next year. So at the moment, I guess what it comes down to is how much do I want the car? How badly do I want it now? I mean, I've done some looking at some other stuff, some kind of comparable things. I've looked at the BMWs some. The problem that I have with most of the BMWs I've looked at is a lot of them are sedans. It's really hard to find a coupe. And the coupes that I actually like, which are all basically M series, are only rear wheel drive. And there's a number of reasons to want an all-wheel drive. I mean, I've always been a proponent of rear wheel drive, or at least I was for a long time, until I drove an all-wheel drive Lamborghini. After driving the all-wheel drive Lamborghini, I was sold on all-wheel drive. I thought it was the best thing ever. That car handled so nicely, granted coming from experience of driving Mustangs. It drove so nicely and handled so well, and just the way it could corner and everything, that I was sold. I was ready to have an all-wheel drive car. Obviously, I don't still. And so there is an aspect of having an all-wheel drive car that, like, I do want that. I do want the performance benefit, and it will benefit me because, it does snow here. I guess some of my final thoughts for the night, just as I've been mulling this over and such, are pretty much regardless. It looks like whether it's now, whether it's in 3 to 6 months, you're going to be paying you're going to be paying tax on about $15,000 worth of car. I mean, the value of the Audis, it's not going to come down that much. Value of my trade, at best, it'll stay where it is. And so that still kind of keeps you right around, $15,000 that you're going to be paying tax on, which is unfortunate, but it is what it is. So that's not going to change. That's going to stay the same. Other things that will change, though, I mean, weather's going to change. It would be more desirable to be driving the Audi with the weather that's going to be here in the next, we've got snow already, but luckily it's in the mountains still. But, within another 2 months, we could easily have snow here on the valley floor. The other things, as I'm thinking about it and such, and just some of the other information I've been gathering, though I'd always like to be able to pay cash, looking at eventually getting a Lamborghini and other exotic cars and such, a lot of the times people do finance those, and you finance them because either you're not hanging on to it for that long or because you're always upgrading, what have you. And working on getting to the point that I can more easily get into something like that, it kind of makes sense to have a little bit larger loan, just as a way of showing in the future if I do find out, hey, I can get into one, but for whatever reason I don't want to put the cash down, I want to finance it instead. And so looking at it that way, it could be nice, because when I go to get a larger loan, just having kind of a history of showing like I have paid off other smaller loans. And so, I mean, the last one that I had for this car, it was around 10,000 also, really. And then, so if I did the Audi now, that would be around 10 again. So, I mean, that would show me as having had 2 for 10 that I've paid off, which, I mean, in the grand scheme of things, I guess that's nothing amazing. But with also looking at picking up a house or something in the next little bit, it kind of gives me something of a foundation. So I guess we'll see what happens. Thanks for watching. Thanks for coming along. And let me know if you have any questions. See you guys next time.